Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to 10-Minute Introductions, the series where we provide a 10,000-foot overview of a game or game system and try to do it in 10 minutes or less. In this video, we are going to take a look at the most popular game from Palladium books, RIFTS. R-I-F-T-S, RIFTS! And I have no clue how I'm going to condense such a vast game into 10 minutes. I'm certainly going to try. One way is I'm going to cheat, so stay tuned for some bonus content at the end of this video. If you like these 10-minute introductions, please be sure to like this video and leave a comment letting us know. Be sure to subscribe to Legion of Myth with notifications to know when we go live and when future videos are available for your viewing pleasure. If you take a look in the description of this video, you can find links to various Legion of Myth sites, our social media, Discord, merch, and so forth. Please check out those fine venues, join us, and enjoy the swag. The charity we support is the Wounded Warrior Project, a national, nonpartisan organization whose mission is to honor and empower wounded warriors. The Wounded Warrior Project exists to raise awareness and to enlist the public's aid for need of injured service members, to help injured service members aid and assist each other, and to provide unique programs and services to meet the needs of wounded warriors, free of charge. Please refer to the description below for the link where you can make your tax-deductible donation. Let's start with making your character. One of the things to note about the RIFTS Ultimate book is how the lore and game system descriptions of the various occupational character classes appear near the beginning of the book. However, the character creation process is placed near the end of the book. I think this is important. The game essentially tells you, hey, there's some things you should know before you dive headfirst into this insanely powerful and diverse universe. When you do get there, character creation starts by rolling up Palladium's 8 attributes. This is a 3d6 or 3 6-sided dice system with the potential for a 4th or even a 5th d6 if you roll really well. There is a significantly high chance those rolls are going to be heavily modified once you pick your occupational character class, or OCC, and skills, so don't be afraid of low dice rolls. They're almost meaningless. Speaking of OCCs, there are about 30 of them in the core book. This includes man-at-arms or combat professions, adventure and scholar professions, think of them as support classes, practitioners of magic, psychic character classes, and a dragon. Yes, you can be a dragon. Each one of these classes comes with pages of information to ensure you understand the theme, lore, and purpose of the OCC. This is to ensure you can and do play a character who is both epic and unique. The rest of the character creation steps help you to choose the skills, powers, and equipment you need to perform as your chosen OCC. If that's not enough for you, there are even ways to take your favorite fantasy, modern, and superhero characters and bring them into RIFTS. However, that's outside the scope of the RIFTS Ultimate book. Now let's look into how the game is played. Well, there are 2 fundamental aspects to the game system: skill checks and combat rolls. Every character has a long and appropriate list of useful OCC skills to ensure the character represents its theme. Beyond that, the player selects a handful of OCC-related skills from a large list of skills associated with the OCC. Finally, the player chooses some hobby or secondary skills as determined by the whims of the player. Skill checks are accomplished by rolling percentile dice. In most circumstances, modifiers notwithstanding, you want to roll equal to or under your character's chance of success. For example, if you have a 65% chance to succeed, any roll of 65 or under on a percentile die, or D100 if you're a super nerd, means you successfully performed that action. When rolling to determine the success or failure of a combat action, you roll a D20, 20-sided die. There are variable factors and options that can affect this roll, but in the simplest sense, a roll of 4 or less is a miss, a roll of 5 or higher is a hit. To be clear, when rolling skill rolls, roll percentile dice, the lower the roll the better. For combat, roll a d20, the higher the roll the better. For the new player, the difficulty is not with the 2 distinct die rolling systems, but rather the difficulty is found in the various modifiers and options involved in combat. Don't worry though, The combination of a well-filled out character sheet and the assistance of your game master will allow you to pick it up in no time. Starting on page 339, there's a pretty hefty section on RIFTS combat. Before you feel overwhelmed, understand that as a player, a lot of those rules won't pertain to you. RIFTS is a game of if you can imagine it, you can be it. What that means is there are rules for fisticuffs, swords, throwing knives, bows, guns, lasers, motorcycles, tanks, Iron Man, giant stompy robots, magic, psychics, and more. Just focus on what you need to know for your character. If you're a combat cyborg, that probably means knowing how to use your brutal iron fists and some pretty big guns. I can't stress the importance of a thorough and completely filled in character sheet. If you take the time to completely fill in your character sheet, you will have everything you need at your fingertips. If you don't overthink it and accept that this is a game, not a simulation, you will find the combat simple and cinematic, complete with grapples, spray and pray, parries, dodges, critical hits, and more. Now here's a quick overview of a hand-to-hand attack sequence. First, roll initiative using a d20 and apply any appropriate modifiers to the result of the roll. Whoever has the highest result goes first. Next, the attacker makes a roll to strike. The attacker rolls a d20, applies any appropriate modifiers, and verifies the result of the roll is a 5 or higher, or is higher than the target's armor rating if that is applicable. If the roll to strike is a success, the attack hits the target. The defender or target of a successful strike may elect to use up an action to attempt to roll to parry, or roll to dodge. Roll a d20, apply any appropriate modifiers, and verify the result of the roll to parry or dodge is equal to or greater than the attacker's roll to strike. If the roll to parry or dodge is equal to or higher than the attacker's roll to strike, the target successfully parries or dodges the attack and suffers no damage from the attack. If the roll to parry or dodge is lower than the attacker's roll to strike, the attack hits the defender. At this point, the defender has one more choice to make. He can choose to take the damage, or he can choose to use another action to roll with impact to potentially reduce the damage by half. If the roll versus impact is equal to or higher than the attacker's roll to strike, the target successfully reduces the damage by half. Of course, the defender or target may decide not to parry or dodge. In this case, the character takes damage from the aggressor's attack. The good news is, by not using an action to parry or dodge, the defender can now use an action to attack the aggressor. Roll to strike as previously mentioned, yada, yada, yada. Continue this process until all of the character's attacks are used, then start again with the initiative roll. Between magic and psionics, magic is usually a little more powerful per individual use, while psionics can be used more often. Once a character knows a particular spell, that spell can be cast at will as long as the character has sufficient number of potential psychic energy points to cast the spell. Similarly, psionics can be used at will as long as the character has a sufficient number of inner strength points. This is a game of immense power, so don't worry about not having enough potential psychic energy or inner strength points. You will. Okay, so what do you do in RIFTS? I have been dreading this portion of the video because no matter what I say, I will not be able to cover the breadth, width, and depth of what RIFTS can offer. RIFTS is a post-apocalyptic setting where the denizens of Earth are recovering from the Great Cataclysm. RIFTS open up to bring beings, both mundane and of imaginable power, to our world. Magic is real, and psychic powers are honed for good or ill. In order to survive, normal humans augment their bodies through the application of science and/or the supernatural in subtle or more often grotesque ways. The Coalition, an enemy to some, a savior to others, tries to bring order to the chaos while trampling on the individual freedoms and wiping out those with unnatural abilities. Outside the Coalition, the world is much more free and dangerous. Demon bug swarms infest Minnesota and Manitoba. Vampires rule Mexico. The southeast United States is home to dinosaurs and to all of the creepy crawlies people imagine existed a million years ago. Wherever you go, there is something new, something old, and something unique for you to discover. From small enclaves struggling for survival, to roving bands of barbarians, survivalists, and bandits. From creatures intending to feed on lone travelers to benevolent cyber knights honor-bound to protect the innocent. From package delivery to supply runs to espionage to full-scale war where the skies are filled with dragons, aircraft, demons, and angels, this future Earth is ripe for any, and I mean any, adventure ideas your imagination can cook up. There are 100 adventure ideas just to get you started in the Game Master's Guide alone. I have made many Palladium books characters, and I can say without a doubt, RIFTS characters take the longest to create. This is because each OCC really is an imaginatively feature-filled expression of the caricature, concept, or model of what the class should do. This is a strength, not a weakness. So don't limit yourself. Play RIFTS with all of the imagination and verisimilitude you can muster and have a great time doing it. Please be sure to like this video and leave a comment. Both of those actions help the channel immensely, and if you have not done so, please subscribe to Legion of Myth. I am really interested in what you think of this series so far and look forward to reading your comments. Join us Thursday and Saturday evenings on twitch.tv/Legion of Myth to watch Heathen Dog and his team of amazing adventurers, or boomers, play multiplayer games for your mockery and enjoyment. On Fridays and Sundays, stop by Legion of Myth's YouTube channel where we live stream fundamentals and overviews of tabletop role-playing games and provide opinions and commentary on the TTRPG hobby as a whole. We believe that role-playing games should take place in fantastic worlds and that the focus of your tabletop group should be on role-playing and having a good time. The core values of #RPGate and any good tabletop group are escapism, not representation, entertainment over activism, and natural, organic inclusion, not forced diversity. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Alright, here we are with the bonus content. I would be remiss if I didn't present to you the 2 perceived weaknesses of RIFTS. I have heard from a number of people that RIFTS can feel overwhelming. Even Heathen Dog, my RPG Digest co-host, has stated that RIFTS is the best second tabletop RPG you can play. I think it can be your first as long as you have a good game master and you don't try to memorize everything before you play. You just can't. I don't even know if Kevin Simbita knows or remembers every facet of RIFTS. Find an interesting theme for your campaign and focus on that until you're more comfortable. Don't try to do everything or combine everything in your first go. Look, in RIFTS Ultimate, you have a game full of so many possibilities that it can last you the rest of your life. No need to attempt it all in one campaign. The other weakness comes in the seemingly crunchy, chaotic, and hard to find rules. Let me refute the crunchy nonsense first. Because of how the book is written, the rules may seem crunchy. However, I think this is more of a misunderstanding due to some of the messy layout than because the rules are bad. The rules are meant to be cinematic, and for a game that uses a D20, I think it captures a cinematic vibe better than any other D20-oriented system out there. Quite frankly, if you treat RIFTS, say, like Pathfinder, if you look up every potential +1 or -1 modifier based on a nuanced action that doesn't even happen during normal play, you're playing it wrong. Standard and rather in-depth rules are there, yes. Nuanced rules, on the other hand, are the purview of the Game Master. Rulings, not rules. The best way to play. Keep the game cinematic, not simulationist, and you'll have a great time. As for the rules being inconsistent, hard to find, well, I'll agree with you with regard to hard to find. An experienced GM who knows the books well won't have a problem. If you're new, or if you are an experienced player who just doesn't look up the rules all the time, you may find some of the rules to be in unexpected places. As for chaotic or inconsistent, I think that's a perception problem again. The rules make sense and they are consistent when you consider how they work within the framework of both cinematic, not simulationist, play and within the spirit of each of the individual OCCs. Alright, I hope that helps, and I sincerely do hope you have a wonderful day.